Hello everyone and welcome back to the NECC. It's well and truly back, isn't it? It's the fall semester and we got some Rocket League on this beautiful Friday as we look to head into the weekend with lots of smiles on our faces, no doubt. I'm Relic, I'm joined by Geg, and of course we got the wonderful Reef on production today. And first of all, how are you this wonderful, I guess it's evening for me, it's probably more afternoon for you, right?
It's getting into the evening hours just about. I'm doing fantastic though. Fantastic crew, fantastic Rocket League on the way. Essentially the emergence showcase here tonight, at least for the first couple of matches. So I'm excited to see this action. Plenty of teams yet to prove themselves, as is the case with this first match. So there's plenty to be seen. I'm sure everyone will enjoy it as much as we are about to.
Absolutely. So just, to give you a bit of context here. So we are in week 2 of the NECC. Of course, we do not cover week 1. It's activation week. Crazy things happen. But for our first matchup, we are indeed going to be seeing the first games that these two teams are going to be playing. You can see our schedule over that way. There we go. It's over there. You can read it for yourself. And first up on the docket, we're going to be taking a little look at New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology, red team, up against the University of California, Santa Barbara, a blue team. You've mentioned emergence. So obviously we have different divisions here that we're looking at in the NECC. Emergence, what does it mean? Where does it sit in the total context of our leagues here?
Yeah, so in terms of the divisions, right, we have champions, the upper echelon, challengers, emergence fall below that, and then you have navigators down below. Emergence is going to be your players around that champ, high champ, maybe breaking into the GC area. So these players are experienced and they have great skill at the game. They're able to pull off fantastic things, but the question for these players is consistency in these matches. How often will they be able to maintain that peak form in these matchups? Because there will be moments where mistakes are made, but they'll need to be able to capitalize on those just as effectively. So you'll see a lot of volatility in this play, but still great skill on display here.
As someone who reached champ and then very much just topped out there, trust me, I know exactly what you mean on that one. It's a real rough one, and it really does mean that going back to basics and making sure that your fundamentals on your passing success rate, on your rotational ability, on making sure that your communication is strong as well. It is more important here than ever. You know, we can look at Rocket League Championship Series, so on. You can get away with some really awesome individual stuff, and we might very well see that today from this potential list of players. Now, we've got to, obviously have a little look, and these rosters are going to be bigger than just the basic 3 that you might expect. Of course, people are busy. Right? People are busy. This is especially students, right? A lot of work on their plate. But these are the 3 players that have been selected from those bigger rosters to take part today. So for the NMT Mines, we got Just Man, Dreadful Monkey, and Call Me Flux. All mechanical engineers, but are the mechanics going to transfer into the game?
We'll have to see. 4 out of the 6 players on this 6-person roster are mechanical engineering majors, so they've hopefully got something going for them, and we'll see how much Dreadful Monkey brings that seniorship into a leadership role here on this team. But if we take a look at the University of California, Santa Barbara blue side of things, you have got O'Malley, Roasty Toasty, and Vardy as the players on the pitch for that squad. Guy Vet, the sub, on the side, waiting in the wings. This squad had a bye in week 1, so they have not even played their NECC match just yet. First test here against NMT Red, and definitely looking to prove themselves here.
Applied math and data science degrees. I'll tell you what, I'd want to be a part of those VOD reviews because that sounds like one of the most analytical experiences you could ever get into. I realize that I'm British. I've got to bring the Jamie Vardy's having a party meme to this, right? But we'll wait and see, of course. Got to score some goals first or make some massive saves before we bestow that meme onto you. Also want to give a shout out to Flux, of course, from Roswell, famous for the alien crash landing in 1940. Hey, look, I'm James T. My real name is James T. Kirk. I want sci-fi stuff to happen more than anyone, believe me. But yeah, awesome to see a mixture as well of experience in terms of studies, right from from junior up to freshman, sophomore, whatever. There's a bunch of different age groups here, of course, as well. It's all collegiate stuff, sure. But really what we're looking for, Galgan, is the experience in-game. We know that all these teams, some of them might not have coaches, some of them might have coaches, some might have leaders, some might just have some spirited youngsters looking to make their way in this scene. So really, is it playing your heart out, or are the nerves to get into champion first in this best of 5.
We'll see variety on the pitch, but you mentioned also variety in the schools, what these players bring and what they are able to provide. Series underway here, best of 5 week 2 as we let up this one. Both teams looking to come out to a quick start, and it is Dreadful Monkey, the senior on the squad. NMT Red, they waste very little time with the first goal here. Nice touch out of the corner, a very easy finish at the top of the box.
It's a really nice pick off the side wall, isn't it? And able to evade that last defender. Again, nice. We're seeing a lot of Honda Civics. I'm really interested to see whether this is the new Meta or something. But anyway, it's an early goal, something to settle those potential early nerves, as Vardy's going to miss this one, and that is the most egregious looking Honda Civic I think I've ever seen in my life. It's not Christmas yet, mate, but Bad Good's going to get plenty of presents from this one. That's a tie game.
The Civics are all over it here, and my goodness, what an effort there. Just gets all the defenders caught up in the corner, staring at the ball. They don't know which way to turn their wheels before they've even figured it out. The ball's in the back of the net, so just like that, we are tied. We see the result again of this chaotic sequence. One miss is not the end of the world, because that mistake needs to be capitalized on, and if it's not, well, you've got a counterattack waiting in the wings to punch you in the gut.
And it goes right back to what you were saying. It's all about that consistency, and not necessarily down the threatening side of the pitch, but rather in your own goal, in your own half. You need to make sure that you lock down that defense, and that's where the rotations and the communication are going to become most key. And miscommunication there, it's a double commit. And through the wall, O'Malley and Babab gonna go for this. They're going to try and get the dunk here. Bit of a trepidatious angle, however. They're not going to see any success from this one, as another 50 goes neutral into the midfield.
Midfield control necessary here, but NMT Red let it come all the way down. Vardy pushing for more to the sidewall, and O'Malley takes to the skies yet again. Good consistent hold here from UCSB Blue, looking for more off the sidewall. Dreadful Monkey looks for the center, but nobody's really there to receive it. Second person in rotation, gotta be in a crucial position, but it may not matter. Quick shot, saved by the crossbar. Flux with a nice pop-up. Dreadful Monkey for the punch home, and talk about shot placement. NMT, what a way to get back out in front.
Yeah, this is all about Flux here. That's a decent enough clearance off to the side, but Flux in the right place at the right time. Doesn't go for a quick shot, sets up that lovely little drop down from Dreadful Monkey. Just a really nice punishment of the defense there of USCB Blue, and NMT Red therefore take the lead once again.
Always have to be careful on those defensive sequences, not to get locked up on the goal line, caught looking where you shouldn't be. But Dreadful Monkey has already opened up so much for this NMT side. What more can he do? Sets this one up, crossbar close to the post, saved away a little haphazardly, so Flux will come through for more. Trying to work out of the corners here. NMT finding limited success, but if it ain't broke, they should not fix it just yet. Vardy going back the other way, though, and you see that corner strike bearing its fangs on the other side of the pitch. So lethal on both sides. These teams know that it's a little bit of a weak spot if they can get the possession in their favor. Big challenge there to see it away.
Yeah, we've got two very different styles of team here. We've got one with very opportunistic style of play in the final third. We've got one which is more than happy to just try and build up the play. Once they've reached that midfield line, it's going to fall back to the orange team once again. Oh, nice turn around the corner. How about that for an assist? 2-2.
Very sneaky play here. You can see the touch to the sideball is a little bit made out of desperation and not expecting that redirect to come through there. Defender caught out 2-on-1. Very advantageous position for the attackers. They take full advantage of the situation. And hey, we're not even halfway through the first game in this series. Tied up yet again. These teams going punch for punch back and forth as UCSB nearly opens things up. Vardy now midfield looking for more, but no redirect magic to be found on this play. We get a clear back and a bit more neutral game.
Dreadful Monkey. Nice off the backboard, miss off the backboard. Here they come. No, that's a miss, and there's a little bit of a slowdown here in the MET offense, tripping over each other. UCSB Blue getting away with it. It's a lot of letters in the acronym, of course. Maybe we should look to just call them Santa Barbara, perhaps. It's O'Malley now with the pop-up. Maybe looking to just suss out the on-rushing attacker there. Does so. The flick away with limited boost. Nice. Here's Vardy again. Misses that shot, however. So does the defender too. As it heads to the midfield line, it's a challenge from Bad, not good. But here's Dreadful Monkey again. Nice infield pass, but a nice read here from O'Malley. The clearance is strong. The clearance is true. The clearance is on target. And the blue team, who are the orange team, they have the lead.
Fantastic connection here as well from O'Malley. We talk about the sideball touches in the emergence division so much and how they need to be controlled. Far too often can they be a quick possession exchange to the opposing side. But if you're able to get a touch like O'Malley there, redirecting it effortlessly on target immediately, right off the rip, you don't give the defense time to respond. You find the goal, and Santa Barbara take the lead here with 90 seconds to go.
Oh, and I like this from Bad Not Good as well. You can see if you are a little bit more panicky, you might try and go for the shot, but instead, just trying to play keep away. That's essentially what they're doing, and whilst they have this 1-goal lead, it's a little bit tedious, but you can hold on, especially with only 70 seconds left. This is something that NMT, of course, are going to try and reverse, but as they've gotten into this game, Santa Barbara looking better and better as the seconds go by.
They're looking more efficient on offense. They're also looking more aggressive. They've gone for some midfield bumps and trying to drive this ball into the deep zone. O'Malley's waiting in the midfield just to keep this possession alive. Less than 60 to go, and it's Bad now out of the corner to be responded by Flux, but it's right into the hands of Vardy. They keep on pushing every single time Santa Barbara have a touch on the ball to respond from New Mexico's attempt to clear the zone, as this unsuccessful centering attempt is going to be pushed 1-2, connecting all the way down. It's on target immediately, and Flux has to tap it away. They're forced back against the wall here in NMT, and they've got less than 30 to figure it out.
Well, that's a nice clearance off the backboard. It's a decent touch. Flux around the corner, looking for that infield pass. No one on the end of it. No one willing to commit. They're a little bit scared here, New Mexico. Worried about committing, but you're into the final 20 seconds. All you can do is commit to try and force that overtime. It falls loose to Flux. A nice pop-up around Vardy, who's back in net. Nice pop-up again from Flux. Where is it? Oh, it's there! And O'Malley with the save. Dreadful Monkey puts it back on target. But look at that. Santa Barbara, they've just about done enough. They come out after being pegged back behind twice, and they take this first game in our best of 5. Brilliant effort.
Ooh, and what a save at the final moments. We have to call that out because the ability for Flux to set that up off the near post, that cut in is something that we see, again, to go back to this conversation of what players of this rank tend to do and tend to miss out on. That cut in with the flick towards the near post is so often the killer for defenses. They don't know how to handle that play because they're stuck to the goal line. They can't get to the ball before it hits the post and immediately bounces out to the top of the box, and now they've got to make a hairpin turn just to try and get in front of it. Fortunately, they had a defender right in front of the net to block it away in time, but that was insanely close. Flux had the right idea. You wanted someone to be a little bit closer to punch home that shot, but that's all in hindsight. You've got to move on to game 2 now. We know at the end of the day, it was a close game. It can be flipped in the result, but you want a bit of an earlier start there to try and secure yourself a win before you get to the closing moments.
And look, let's not be too critical on the minors either. Of course, we were looking at it. We were thinking, oh, why aren't they risking it a little bit more in the final minutes or so? They need to try and force this equalizer. But that's one of the beauties of collegiate esports, of course, here in the United States, where you have a load of different players with a load of different experience. We've seen rival series, championship series level players taking to the collegiate field, and that's just how widespread we can see the skill levels of these players being. There's going to be a lot of learning done for a lot of these rosters who might very well be playing for the first time together this week. And for NMT, I'm sure that they will continue to learn throughout the series, no matter the result. We are into game number 2, though. We're on to the Forbidden Temple. And for Santa Barbara, it's just a case of pick up where you left off. You've got some good momentum. Let's see it keep on going.
It's truly fantastic to see.
Lovely.
Underway, though. Bad Not Good gets us started. It only takes Santa Barbara 20 seconds, and Flux trying to play this one out of the corner. Doesn't quite favor Dreadful Monkey there on the goal line. Bottom corner is open, tic-tac, and right in to the back. Santa Barbara get the early start.
Yeah, and with his name, you'd imagine it would be a bad shot, and finally a good shot. At the first time of asking, getting that on target, a difficult shot to make as well, just slipping it right between the post and where that final defender lay. So ultimately a great start. Continue that momentum is exactly what I was certainly asking for. Santa Barbara, they're going to be settled down, and more doubts to answer here for New Mexico as Bad Not Good. Nice little pinch into the ground there. Forces Flux wide, forces a teammate of Vardy wide, of course, as well. Over the top of O'Malley as Flux is going to lose out to Bad Not Good here. And really, I'm just a little bit worried about New Mexico at this stage. They look a little bit disparate in the midfield. Looks like they're running out of ideas. And Flux, oh, that was a big mistake. And it is going to be punished. That's a 0-0 lead.
Very few resources there for Flux. Deep in the zone, could not make the initial touch and put himself way out of position to get there for the second. O'Malley punches that home effortlessly almost. And it really goes to show just how comfortable Santa Barbara are. Like you were saying, they look like they're in their bag right now. They're finding touches that they need to, and they look ambitious while doing it, which is so key for this matchup. You see players trying to elevate the ball here, keep it up high, go for those challenges in the middle of the pitch. Dreadful Monkey now pushes this one all the way down, and it takes two defenders just to save it away. Here goes Flux trying to tap down instead of taking the shot, but the shot will not come through just yet. So Santa Barbara, they hang on defensively. 2-0 lead for now, and you can tell they're starting to get into a rhythm.
And that is a substitution out, actually. So just T-Man was in there for game number 1. It's going to be Kapisimu in. So clearly fancying a change and maybe suggesting why the rotations were a little bit off, at least early doors. It's 4 goals unanswered for Santa Barbara, if you consider the end of game number 1 and the first half here of game number 2. And it's something that we also see in Collegiate Rocket League. It's a lot of substitutions to utilize. You want to make sure that all of these players are getting at least their time in to try and figure out what the best roster is moving forward. And really, you can only do that in your first matchup of the season, which both of these players are enjoying. But certainly for Santa Barbara, they're going to take that all day long. They're keeping their roster the same. They're looking great. And as we head towards halftime, they're looking for their third. Nice drop down, almost on target from Vardy, and there is number 3.
There it is. Vardy has a pretty easy cleanup here, but it's the threat of what could have been from Bad Bad Not Good up there for the double. You see one defender already went. Flux was waiting on the side at that near post as well to try and contest for it, but fortunately backflipped out of it and left the net wide open. Vardy with a very easy punch home, and Santa Barbara look like they can do no wrong there. They're continuing this oppressive play style. You can see the early challenge. O'Malley rips one right under the bar, and that's a beauty of a goal if I've ever seen one.
And it's a difficult shot to make as well, considering the amount of power plus accuracy that you need to get there. Lovely, beautiful, and weighted to perfection. It's goal number 4, and we've not even hit halftime.
Ooh, my goodness. NMT still searching for answers right now. It feels like they've been locked out in a sense, as yet again the ball enters towards the back of their half, and Bad Bad Not Good is just feeling so confident here. O'Malley though forced out, and Vardy into this 1-on-2 now towards the side, but you see how much space Santa Barbara are given to recollect themselves. O'Malley right spot at the right time to get a big clear, could get a piece of the second one. Bad Bad Not Good is there as well. So every single time New Mexico is looking for some sort of touch to give themselves some space, some room to breathe in this matchup. A touch comes out from Santa Barbara, and all of that momentum is canceled out. One errant miss here could lead to something, but defenders get in the way and erect a brick wall right in front of their net.
And we see this a number of times here where Santa Barbara do leave the ball loose like that, and it's just a simple case of New Mexico not punishing as soon as that possession is loose. And even when they're right in front of net, they're starting to miss the shots that we saw them execute quite nicely in game number 1. Is it a loss of confidence? Yes, maybe, but that confidence is only going to grow by continuing to create the chances. It's another hit to the backboard here, but Santa Barbara, you can tell that they're comfortable, not even looking to pressure, and that's a rule 1 or rule 0 that they're observing there, depending on when you decided to join the Rocket League / Saab PC scene. Unfortunately, it continues to mean that NMT Red not getting much purchase in this game whatsoever.
Yeah, this is something that you don't exactly expect to see once you climb a little higher in the ranks. I mean, it's got the meme potential, right, for players to hold on to it. You've got to respect the players for at least sticking with it, committed to it. It's a de facto 2-on-2. O'Malley wants to end it, but the crossbar denies. Bad Bad Not Good is up for the follow-up. Will the save come out? No, not in time. Defender not quite in the general area. Bad Bad Not Good ends the rule 1 or 0 and gets the 5th goal.
That's a ghost touch, unfortunately, for Kopsimu. Actually, no, it wasn't a ghost touch. You can see they're looking to try and get the backflip, but ultimately would have just been a little bit more prudent to slow down and make sure that you hit that ball head on. You get a stronger clearance. You make the clearance in the first place. And unfortunately, with the better part of 50 seconds left of this game number 2, you have to say Santa Barbara well and truly in the driver's seat. That could very well have gone in on another day. And now it's all down to New Mexico. You've got to try and reset yourselves, figure out what you want to do. Is there going to be another substitution potentially? But it's got to be a reverse sweep from here to find any success and to take the dub at the end of the day.
30 seconds remaining. Dreadful Monkey tries to get things started. Capissimo's up for this as well, but not quite in the general area well enough. Flux tries to get this one centered up off the sidewall again, and it's popped up. They have a general understanding here of some offensive pressure, but unable to retain it for the time being. And yes, it does look like the time will wind down. Not sure if New Mexico has one in them here. You start to ask questions about that substitution. You mentioned Dreadful Monkey now pops this up, but Capissimo can't get over to it in time. And the time does expire with a clean sheet against New Mexico. So yeah, we go into game 3 thinking, will there be another substitution? Are they just going to try and chalk this one up to experience? It is the first matchup for New Mexico here, so there's not a whole lot of pressure against them, but Santa Barbara are certainly not giving them the time of day in this matchup. They want to get out of here with a very quick 3-0.
Yeah, if game 1 was the proposal, then game 2 was most certainly the product in full action. So impressed with everything that they were doing in defense, in the midfield, with possession, and ultimately with the shots that they were putting away. Every facet of their game was improved. Now, was this down to a bit of unsettling amongst the roster for New Mexico? That is certainly a question that they're going to be asking themselves, whether they should go back to their game 1 roster. I am surprised that they changed things up so early, especially when, look, I know you want to blood in new players, but you also want to start getting some momentum for yourself this early in the season. You want to get that first win on the board. So we might very well see a return to the game 1 roster. We might see Just T-Man back in, but you never know. We might also see the final of the roster. We've got who else have we got? We've got Ben Toha and we've got Jada 4 as well. So actually we've got 2 players that might see themselves put in. It depends how they want to approach this, but I hope they approach it with the same bombastic nature that they came out of game 1 with, or came into game 1 with, I should say. It certainly provided a lot of great success.
I assume they've got some strategy about it here, and we see Dreadful Monkey and Capissimo and Flux all out here. So no changes from game number 2 for this specific match. It could come down to availability, but hey, that's a lot of speculation. What matters most is what's happening on the pitch right here and right now, and it's Santa Barbara with another early possession here in game 3. This one leaks out to the near post, but Dreadful Monkey is there for a quick touch away, but you can see Santa Barbara, they've wasted no time getting the party started. Waterfall down, the first one to it, sends it into the crossbar there. Bad, not good, close, but O'Malley comes through, and look at this, shot after shot, opportunity, that one a bit too slow, and finally an avenue out. New Mexico hits the open net courtesy of Dreadful Monkey, and they've got the early lead.
Task number 1, ticked off. You didn't concede a goal in the first 30 seconds. Task number 2, score a goal yourselves. Ticked off in the first 30 seconds. Really nice punishment of that overcommitment there. Santa Barbara almost a bit too eager to try and get themselves one up that early on. And for New Mexico, that is exactly the shot in the veins of confidence that they would have liked. And I actually really like that they've stuck with this same roster as well. It gives themselves some continuity, whether it is just a selection situation, whether it's a schedule situation. Either way, that is going to be a big smile on all of their faces as they continue on in game number 3.
It absolutely will be, and it's so crucial here, especially when you look at Santa Barbara and you question whether or not they're being over-aggressive, because you like to see the confidence from these players going for things that they know they are able to hit on their best days, but at the same time, you know there's always the chance that they end up missing, and if New Mexico's keen enough to challenge at the right times and block it away, then power to them. But here's a big challenge deep in the corner, set up for Bad Not Good to try and tap, goes wide with it, and will lend itself to O'Malley. Demo
nice
opens
demo.
up the space, and the upper 90 was nearly slotted there for the shot. O'Malley has had a very little issue with sending quality shots on target. That one just barely missing, but Santa Barbara, they're already churning to try and get this equalizer.
Flux, the luckiest player in the stadium there, I think, there. Pre-flip to manage to make the save ultimately in the end. Santa Barbara coming out with the demos as well. Really like this switch up as Flux is going to be back in town to make this save as well. Round the corner as Santa Barbara continue to ramp up the pressure. Here's O'Malley, calls off his teammate. Really nice pass in, and oh, no. Not going to want to play this one back.
Oh, dear. Definitely going to want to close your eyes, but not if you're O'Malley here. Honestly, so far has been my standout player for Santa Barbara. Just the ability to set up so many plays from the sidewall. Again, going back to this conversation of what these players want to be doing with the ball is having those reads, those projections of where the ball is going to end up on lock. That's a solid opportunity, but the redirect's not quite there. Kept alive by Capissimo in the corner, and now New Mexico have a chance to try and get back out into the lead. They've certainly got a better shake than in the previous games. It feels like this time around, a bit more reminiscent of the first game of the series, but something in the air feels a little different. New Mexico are getting pretty level chances here with Santa Barbara, very much so in comparison to game 2.
Yeah, but the problem with New Mexico right now is they're struggling on the boost situation. They're really struggling to communicate with each other. And once again, a miscommunication there. Both players going for the same ball, but guess what? Vardy, poacher in real life and poacher in the esports world as well, it seems, gets there ahead of everyone else. And now you're looking back on that own goal. Once again, doubts creeping into your mind. New Mexico simply cannot allow that. We've just passed that half-time. It's still a one-goal game, and you've simply just got to talk more and try and fashion better chances. Here comes Flux round the corner, but a lovely bit of interception there from O'Malley. The full clearance coming through, I should say, from Bad Bad Not Good.
And it's such a tough look on the previous goal. I just want to mention that very briefly because the player's tendency to go to the goal line rather than the backboard. Bad Not Good, though. It's not giving them any time to get any which direction here on defense. New Mexico forced to watch another one in as Flux goes for the challenge, and it falls right into the hands of the shooter O'Malley, running a diversion there as well across the net. But it's good enough. Santa Barbara out to a 2-goal lead, and now we start to get into series clinching territory.
Yeah, not just a diversion run, but also a great blocking run as well, putting themselves right in the way of that defensive passage that they had to try and navigate. So ultimately, picking off 2 birds with 1 stone. And once again, Santa Barbara in the ascendancy. What can Dreadful Monkey do? Got 38 boost. Difficult read. Decides to go for the fake. It's nice enough, but there's his 2 teammates waiting, looking for something more. And once again, a strong clearance means that Santa Barbara is going to find themselves in the blue half of the field.
And it's O'Malley once again getting things started. The demo as well sets it up, and Vardy shoots. Flux, nice jump to see it away, but who's got the follow-up here? As now it's passed around in the air between players. O'Malley double off the back wall, tried to set up Bad Not Good, but it's sent right into the defender. Lobbed here, and Vardy looking for more, but can't quite find it. So New Mexico have found their breakout. Flux breaks through in the corner, centering pass, but nobody's there for the shot. You want somebody there to punch that home. Capissimo finally comes through to center things up, and just as New Mexico get their good looks here, they're forced to back up, recognize a bit more space, but Capissimo now up there for yet another redirect, and not enough sauce on that one. 60 seconds remaining. It's Bad Not Good to connect another clear down and look for a 4th. Finds it. Flux left looking at that one fall into the net.
You hate to see it, but it feels like a Season 5 RLCS throwback at the moment with 2 anchor-style players and 1 single striker. That's not how the current meta works. It really rewards that passive aggression almost, ready to latch onto something no matter how small the opportunity. You've got to give Santa Barbara a lot of credit. Since that first mistake, they have not looked back, and NMT looking to try and right some wrongs as well. That's a shot, but well met by Vardy in the defense. They've got a 3-goal lead. They can afford to sit back.
And challenges are so important here to New Mexico, but they rather take the clean opportunities if they can find them. The problem is, Santa Barbara's been all over the ball. They get this to the sidewall as well, and with 30 seconds to go, Dreadful Monkey now has to make an unfavorable touch out to the sidewall. That Vardy is all over yet again. Back wall, and Flux plays this out. That's 2 gone. But how quick can they convert this opportunity and try and get something going, because time is working against them, and they need this ball to teleport into the back of Santa Barbara's net if they want any shot at this series. Unfortunately, it's gone the other way, and Santa Barbara, courtesy of O'Malley, have secured this series.
I'm afraid that's hook, line, and sinker for New Mexico. Martin is here as O'Malley. It was a desperate challenge there from the final defender. O'Malley just goes underneath it, keeps the shot nice, low, and precise. It's a 5-1 scoreline, not the clean sheet that they had in game number 2, of course, but you're not going to care a jot when you got yourself a 4-goal lead heading into the final 10 seconds. It's last hope saloon here for New Mexico, trying to save some grace, but unfortunately that grace has been spent as our first series here of the NECC Full Split broadcasts comes to a close. It is Santa Barbara coming out on top with a 3-0 victory. Very convincing in the end, despite a shaky start in game number 1.
Indeed. All the grace had been spent. The Civics are now parked and waiting to be refueled, and Santa Barbara have taken quite the convincing victory there. New Mexico, I mean, they've got things to learn from this series, and that's the central theme of it all, right? Is learning and experience for these teams, especially with a 6-person roster. New Mexico as well, their week 1 matchup rescheduled to tomorrow against UAB White, so surely they will have things to think about going into that one. Quick turnaround for that matchup. Not necessarily one that I disliked from New Mexico coming into this, but certainly you'd like to see a bit more a bit more cooperation between the teammates in terms of that communication. It felt like far too often two players had the exact same idea of what to do, got caught up in each other's path, and that was all Santa Barbara needed to take the ball, run away with it, and get a goal for themselves.
Yeah, which is so strange as well, considering that first half of game number 1, where I remember that lovely Flux pop-up to Dreadful Monkey. That felt like a really nice, orchestrated team goal where everyone was on the same page, and it just seemed like that page was ripped up. And now, again, there's a lot of this roster to try and go through and to figure out what works best, but they're not going to have much time until tomorrow, so decisions have to be made quick. And we're going to take a quick break. While we're at it, of course, I say a quick break. We're going to be waiting about 30 minutes, actually, until our next game, since all of these are lovely and scheduled. We're going to be heading into recess. But when we come back, we're going to be having a little look, once again, at the Emergence Division, but with North Central Technical College. They're going up against the Lincoln Land Community College Loggers. Another match, I should say, that we're going to thoroughly enjoy. We hope that you will be there to see it after this. I see you running back into the room with your snacks because you were just about to miss the beginning of the second part here of the NECC week number 2. Good news, you're back just in time to join myself, Relic, then Galgan, and of course we've got the wonderful Reef on production today, and we've got ourselves our second series. If you have just joined us, by the way, welcome. Lovely to have you. Our first series was a 3-0 sweep where we saw Santa Barbara take on New Mexico, and with great success as well. But now we turn our attention to North Central Technical College of Wisconsin. They're going up against the Lincoln Land Community College. They're also known as the Loggers. And once again, Galgan, we are into the Emergence Division, so looking at that champion to GC level gameplay.
Indeed, we are. A lot of things to look for from these players. Again, if you saw the first match, you got a good understanding of this. Players will be ambitious. They'll go for big plays. They may not always hit them, but it matters what you do after that. The follow-up, where your second man in the rotation is, all of those key principles of Rocket League are going to be crucial for these teams. And with both of these teams in our second matchup, both North Central Technical and Lincoln Land Community College at 1-0 and off of sweeps in their first matchups, surely they're going to be coming in with a lot of brimming confidence to this matchup.
Nothing to disagree with there, certainly not from me. Let's take a little look at the players in a little bit more detail. Of course, once again, we see as a collegiate roster, they're going to have more than the 3 players that you see on the screen, but at least the starting lineups for NTC. First of all, we've got Cruz, we've got Nutmeg, and we've got Stank, we've got 2 sophomores and a freshman. Computer sports specialists, IT help desk. They are pretty good with computers, but are they going to be good once they are on that computer? Well, early suggestions from week number 1 suggests very much so. And let's take a little look at the Lincoln Land Loggers. What have we got here, Galvin?
Well, unsurprisingly, we've got 2 computer science majors and a cybersecurity. So very similar across the rosters. Wonka, Dynanly Smitty, and Light round out the crew here for the Lincoln Land Loggers. So all of them, at least we know if there are any technical difficulties over the series, they will be able to fix them very quickly. We will have very minimal delays, and this is obviously me jinxing our way into a 15-minute technical pause during this series, so I'm very excited for that.
If Light isn't playing hard anchor, hard goalkeeper with a cybersecurity tag, I don't know what's gone wrong, to be honest. Maybe it'll be the security of scoring plenty of goals. We'll just have to wait and see. But of course, one thing that neither of these teams wants to enjoy is that first loss. And it will be their first game loss of the season as well. As you say, they come in with a lot of confidence. It can damage a bit of pride, can damage a bit of ego if they've had those hopes built up, only to then see them crash into the floor in week number 2. They've got to keep mentally strong.
And these divisions are ones where you could see a team going to 2-0 undefeated, but I feel like that's not as likely of an outcome. I think just off the general vibe of these teams, we could get a scrappier series that goes to 4, potentially 5. It all matters how that early start happens, though, because we know how crucial momentum is, as scary as that word can be for a team to feel that security with. Getting that early start, getting things going quickly in the series, game 1, game 2, trying to snowball that can have all of the massive implications that you want going further into the series, and can really pigeonhole your opponent into some tunnel vision like plays that just kind of lock them into the same sequences. They can't really break out, and just like that, the series is already over.
And another thing that we are going to be watching out for as well are those signs of communications. Really, that was the big deciding factor between the last 2 teams that we saw, with Santa Barbara. A bit of a shaky start. They lose a couple of goals, but then they ride back into the game number 1, ultimately win game number 1, and they never really look back, only conceding 1 over the space of 2 games, and ultimately scoring 10 in the same space. So that's a really nice indication of, if you stay mentally strong, if you have that communication on top of that, even when the going gets tough, you, as the presumed tough, can get going as well. New Mexico really falling afoul of a couple of moments where they seem to just lack a bit of cohesion. When it came to attacking, there would be a ball that would arrive in the center, and there'd be no one there to latch onto it. And okay, you might find a defender in your place, but at least you are putting the opportunity on target and making your opponents work in the defense.
And on the opposite side, you mentioned the defense right there. That was another thing we saw New Mexico struggle with just a bit, because while there wasn't really a true midfield presence or top of the box presence to take a shot on the defensive side, there was a little bit too much of a presence from New Mexico, to the point where players were too close to each other. They were not off of the goal line in time for the shot coming through. I mean, that obviously was going up against players like O'Malley, who were just able to completely rip shots from every conceivable angle right under the bar. So very many things sort of built up there against New Mexico in the series, which brings us to the talking point of adjustments to make against your specific opponent, because it doesn't become enough to play solid Rocket League at a base level. You've got to play Rocket League that counters what your opponents want to do, not allow them to play their game. Santa Barbara got comfortable against New Mexico. They ran away with the series. Whether either team gets comfortable in the same vein in this series, we'll have to see, but surely it will help propel them into a strong series, win or lose, as soon as they get into that comfort zone.
Yeah, and it's worth furthering that point, Ray. We don't mean adjustments as in substitutions. If you want to be the very best in Rocket League, you've got to learn how to adjust on the fly, not just individually as a player, but as a team with that same roster. Perhaps one thing that New Mexico didn't really give themselves as a favor was switching up the roster after game one and having to take an entire 5 minutes to get used to that new player joining the equation. You know, sometimes you can still lose, but find yourself with a better chance of winning the following game just by sticking together. And we're not saying turtle up, we're not saying go ultra defensive, but what we are saying is look for those opportunities, because if there was one thing that Santa Barbara did very well, especially in game number one when they were limited on the opportunity front, is that when the shots arrived, they took them so well. They were able to have a really nice conversion percentage as well, and especially at this level where ground champs have gone over it before, they can be a bit inconsistent. It's why when those moments arrive, you've really got to take them, otherwise you are going to be punished.
And on your point about substitutions, I'm almost a little bit surprised that not enough people really focus on that aspect of the substitution in terms of your own team's cohesion, because oftentimes when a substitution happens in Rocket League, you think, oh, we're throwing this oddball, this wild card onto the pitch, and they're going to bring something completely unexpected. But when Capissimo went on for Just T-Man in that previous series for New Mexico, Capissimo didn't have too amazing of an impact, I don't think, as an individual. It was still Dreadful Monkey and Flux who were initiating a lot of the chances, but the past is in the past. The present is the start of this series here between NTC Blue and Lincoln Land. We are underway, yet another best of 5 in the emergence, and we'll have to see what they hit us with in the early goings here.
Oh, that was a nice early read as well, as only Smitty there watches brief. Got Wonka going down the other end, looking for that early goal. Going to be denied away, going to steal the 100 boost away as well. Here's only Smitty again. That was a really interesting 50. That could have gone anywhere. Wonka in field. Nice pass, but a miss there, unfortunate. Lovely, beautiful aggression coming out from the Lincoln Landloggers.
Oh, but it's converted back the other way just as early, and that's a prime opportunity. Defender, a little bit of help to send it to the back. Stank has gotten NTC off the rip. The counter is quick. Beautiful placement on the clear. And the second touch, albeit a bit wide. A little help from your friend there deep in the box, and you've got the first goal.
And that did feel like a massive amount of communication. We saw one beelining for the boost, and then the other two were just looking at each other like, are you going to deal with it? And that's a first warning sign for Lincoln Land. Gotta talk more and gotta deal with the problem before it arrives at your doorstep. It's another wayward touch here. Stank into the midfield. That's going to go high. Looking for the second touch. Here's Krugs, and that's going to be a lovely bit of defending at the near post. Stank, that's a massive pre-read, and ultimately going to come to nothing.
Again, ambitious here. You've got to give it some credit, but you know those misses are going to come out. Now we push back down the other way as centering pass, opportunity, finisher, anybody there? Shot not coming through. There's a couple of misses now. The one and only Smitty looking for more, but unable to. And here goes Stank up for yet another one, trying to set from the backboard as continue to churn and turn for this opportunity. Getting some really quick conversions. Double up on that one, so nobody will be able to take the shot immediately. Lights in the general area, but Stank will clear aside. And NTC Blue, they are able to hold off for now.
Infield and almost straight towards the net, if not for light. Down and into NTC hands once again. Loose possession, not really great clearances coming out from the Loggers here as Light looks to slow things down. Nice pop here into the midfield, but again the defense holds strong. There's Krugs downfield and that's not really going as inward as they would have liked. A demo onto Stank is going to cancel out the attack.
Back in the corner, stuck again. Very neutral here. Both teams looking for the way in. Demos could be the answer as this one back and forth, ping-ponging through the middle of the pitch. Stank now waiting patiently for this one. A little too much as Smitty will come through and force things through the corner. Follow-up opportunity to the back wall. 1, 2, 3, but Light can't get it on target, and it's caught up in the rotation of his own teammate there to get another shot off. Midfield hold by Smitty, so Lincoln Land stay relevant on this offensive opportunity, but they're looking for that sense of efficiency. Their touches not quite getting to the target fast enough, and they're forced to retreat.
I wouldn't have called it a rotation. It was just plain getting in the way out of spite, almost, it looked like. What a great opportunity spurned. And that opportunity has now turned into a counterattack that Krugs has put away. The Lincoln Land Loggers, they are currently architects of their own downfall. Lovely readjustment of the car, by the way, from Krugs. Don't get me wrong. Really nice goal. But again, 2 players in net. No one stepping up and taking responsibility. I'd rather want to see a double commit and make the block happen in the first place than see what ultimately happened, which is 2 players marooned on the ground and a two-goal lead opening up.
100%. It's an issue that plagues these players time and time again, is not getting their wheels off the goal line in time, and it bites them there. 2-0 lead for NTC Blue. They look to try and advance it here. They can get the ball clear. A couple of misses in the middle of the field. It will be left to Smitty to try and take, but goes slowly, gets demoed for his efforts. That ball goes by the wayside, cleared all the way down, and Smitty now is first in line for defending this opportunity on the back wall. Counter not quite on target just yet. Sent back, finish there for Light into the bar, and close shave, but does get it. Lincoln Land pull within 1.
It's a head-in-hands moment, and Stank, it's just a misread. Difficult when your back's to goal. You either try and backflip it, essentially, so that you've got your front facing the ball, or you do what he did. What he did was correct initially. It's just not enough boost in the tank, potentially. Maybe a little bit of nerves, maybe a miscalculation, and Lincoln Land Loggers, they have a lifeline.
Indeed, they do. Closing in on 90 seconds, though. Still early on in both the series and the game in theory here, but as we continue on, that is a very nice connection in the middle of the field. Top corner, just wide. Wonka forced to retreat now. Nutmeg's moving quickly with this one, gets the demo to secure it, and all that effort for not NTC. Get a quick counter, and a 2-goal lead resumed.
Honestly, best shot of the entire game, given how close that eventually went in. Lovely blocking run from Nutmeg as well, destroying that last defender before there was any hope of scoring defending the ball away, sorry. A 3rd goal scored for NTC. And with 80 seconds left, still some time here for the Lincoln Land Loggers to continue their upward trajectory, certainly looking a lot better as this game number 1 edges on. Light is looking back and sees his teammate there to defend. A nice clearance from Smitty, but met in the midfield line by Krugs. Over to Nutmeg. Nice demo as well. There's only 2 in the defense, make that 1 as the move upfield has not been punished. Here comes Stank again. Nice block, and time is whittling down. North Central looking good.
Yeah, the North Central Timberwolves doing a really good job of being aggressive, high up on the play. Lincoln Land, though, trying to respond from the middle of the field now. Goes Wonka after the 2 teammates tried their hands at the target. Smitty up for this one, but the challenge is a very tall clear all the way down, forcing them again. Already pre-jumped here as Wonka. Awkward position, will have to come down, and Smitty can't block that one either. The chaos is sent wide of the far corner, however, and a little light at the end of the Lincoln Land tunnel here if they can try and find a second quickly.
Loggers know that should have been 4-1. That was your final warning. And a feels bad side flip from Wonka. Going to be able to get the challenge in here at the midfield line. Misses the 100 boost as well. Really just a cacophony of poor timed events here. Wins the challenge, but doesn't win anything over the defense in its entirety. North Central, consider me impressed. Not an easy game 1 to navigate, but a game 1 that you have navigated nonetheless. They take the lead in the series 1-0.
Certainly done some solid work there to hold on. Lincoln Land had a plethora of opportunities to try and punch back into that one, but just as equally, North Central had their own looks. That one that went wide that you said should have been 4-1, it very much should have. It wasn't, but North Central still able to hold on to their lead. And again, we get back to this central theme of something we saw towards the first match of tonight, a close game number 1. A little bit more distant here as North Central get that win by 2. 2, but for Lincoln Land, you know, the answers are somewhat provided here. They are a 3-person roster as well, so we're not really going to get into substitution territory here. We're going to see a very similar playstyle likely come up here, but something I loved from North Central in game number 1, the aggression, the demolitions. Stank was going for a ton of them after scoring the opening goal for North Central, so to have an impact player like that on your roster, Lincoln Land will surely look to replicate that on their side.
Distant in scoreline, but I don't think as distant in performance, because what we saw from that New Mexico series was New Mexico start great, but then continue to trail away as the game went on, whereas we really saw Lincoln Land have their best opportunities later in the game, even if it was at the cost of a leaky defense, more so than what we saw in the first 2 minutes of that particular one. So really it's an open playing field for game number 2. I think Lincoln Land with a lot of positives to take away from it, no less getting at the very least 1 goal pass, but here's another one of those demos, this time coming through from Nutmeg, and the NTC attacking rotation starting to get into the groove. A lovely clearance coming through here as Wonka is forced to chase over. Stank Light is also chased, attempted bump on the goalkeeper here, but Stank is going to be able to use that wave dash to get away, ends up with Krug. Oh, this is a little bit fortuitous for NTC Blue, but a big worksman-like clearance is going to help Lincoln Land out.
I'm loving the looks from Lincoln Land. There it is. Light finishes at the near post. You felt it coming. They had so much going for them here in the early minute, and Light, that is a beautiful touch to beat 2 defenders racing in there as Krugs and can't get there in time. Lincoln Land, they get the first goal.
Styling and a rare miscommunication from NTC. There were 2 players within about 5 meters of each other, and that is ultimately, with that one maneuver, able to just unlock the defense. There was even backup for Lincoln Land had that initial shot not gone in, so looking a lot better, continuing that upward trajectory as we were asking for. Looking for a shot near post was Light, but that pop-up, that's a massive overcommitment. We can see that Smitty's back in town, but not quickly enough. The door wasn't closed and the entrance was there for Nutmeg to step right on into.
And what a finish. Look at the flick to open things up. Keeps it airborne all the way down towards that near post. Impressive in its own right, but the fact that the defenders were in a relevant enough position, just couldn't quite get the nose of the car to the ball to save it away, is all the more impressive as they've evened things up here. Still early on in game number 2. North Central Technical not going down without a fight, but they may be down by 1 yet again. Wonka picks the ball up and scores.
Rather than looking at their own performance, they've looked at their opponents and thought, hey, let's do that. Wonderful bump on the keeper, and Wonka just steps in and says, hey, that's a free net for me. Thank you very much. That's a 2-1 lead, and Lincoln Land are here to play.
I mentioned demos and the physical play. It doesn't have to just be demos. Even just rotating through the goal line, which we've seen Lincoln Land do time and time again here in game number 2, has proven to be very effective. Even if they're not finding the demos or the bumps that they're looking for, they're at least forcing North Central's defensive side to stagger themselves a little bit. Now this one towards the near post, a little tricky, but Light takes away. Krugs is in the area for a relevant challenge and has plenty of boost to play with. Beats the second defender, just trying to free play this ball through. And Stank now in the corner trying to generate some more, but they get locked up, and that'll be it for North Central's push. They'll be forced to retreat with just about 3 to go. You can see Wonka trying to bump people off the goal line, but not to be.
Yeah, the slicer going wide, unfortunately, as we see another NTC attack formulate. But Smitty there, the Nutmeg challenge, going to actually win out here, as that's a bit of a wayward touch. That's not great for the Orange. Stank, that's going to go to the backboard, but a bit too much mustard on that, really, not helping his teammates. Here's Krugs to reset the attack. Wonka meets it. There's Nutmeg to reset the attack. Light meets it, Smitty meets it. Ultimately a double commit, but gets the job done. Krug's back on the scene, looking to go through the corner. Up, and a not so great touch either means that once again Lincoln Land clear their lines.
And it's Wonka in a prime position to get this clear started. Light will take over, and that's a bit of a misplay there. That will leave the ball open, but Lincoln Land looking to rectify the wrongs committed there. Smitty forced in the midfield for an awkward challenge. And Nutmeg now, it's chaos. Absolutely that ensues. Light out of the corner, can't quite find it. Open space though, and Stank will take over. Gets under 1. Last defender there is Wonka. We're back the other way. Quick counter, bottom corner. The finish not there on the self-pinch. So many opportunities back and forth. Counters are putting the ball on target very quickly here. Defenses are having to scramble just to save away the initial touch, but Stank emphatically punches it to the top corner, and we're tied again.
You could see that the call-off was there. You could see that the call-off was there for Smitty to just go for it, but Stank, with a very narrow window to work with, smashes that ball right through it, finds a tie game. Rotations they're out the window. You can tell that the gamer faces are most certainly on. Everyone concentrating, looking to win this game on their own. And as we head into the final 2 minutes, an own goal is not what you want to see. Lincoln Land is starting to slip away, but look at this, it slipped out of Stanks' hands, and Light wins the challenge, but unfortunately the ball ricochets too high.
Oh, the nerves maybe starting to cook here for both sides. Smitty goes for a challenge to the back wall, won pretty decisively, but Krugs is already up in the air. Second touch imminent, doesn't quite get around for a flip reset, unable to, so now Nutmeg forced back. Light will try to cut this one in, and does to Smitty, but can't take the shot. Now the follow-up from Wonka is right over the defense, and the chaos, again, they had the set play, it fell through, but Wonka pushed up regardless. It's a bold strategy, and it pays off.
You can see here Nutmeg, ironically enough, because Light, although it was a bit of a mess up on the first attempt, because Nutmeg was still rotating through the goal zone, you have Nutmeg on the line there like, oh, there's a car in the way. And that is what ultimately sets up the final shot. And here's another one. Oh, it's off the post. You can almost hear the ping effect as Lincoln Land threatened with a fourth.
Oh, such an unfortunate circumstance, but they've still got the goal lead, headed closer and closer to the final 60, so they've got to like their position from here, but North Central not going to let them have it for free. Krugs is up in the air. That's a nice level of control to the top corner, but Wonka equally challenging that one. Light taps it towards the net, and a tricky situation now, a bind that Lincoln Land have put themselves into. This one challenged on target, sent away. Krugs now to the corner, going off the back wall, but Nutmeg has already turned off. That's going to be an awkward angle to try and bring this one back in from. Stank is going to do his darndest, though, to try and get it from the corner, and Light connects on that side wall clear. Nearing the final 30, Lincoln Land give themselves a little bit of space, but North Central, they are certainly raring to go to try and get this equalizer. That double, though, might not help things.
Smitty looking for that light touch, gonna miss. Cruz finds it, wins the second challenge. Wonka in, looking for the back pass, I think. Very bizarre play here as they throw it back to Stank. Are they going to pick up this 100 boost? Maybe. Stank has nothing in the tank to work with. Goes for the little flick. Here's Cruz as well. Cars flying to the floor and flying into the ball, but two of Lincoln Land. It was plenty enough. Nutmeg back the other way, looking for this equalizer. There is a chance here, but Wonka takes it round the world and away from danger. It's still going to be loose here. Still going to be lurking. NTC Blue. Stank, nice touch back. It's Nutmeg. Finds two in the way. It's up above the bar. Here comes Cruz. Up it goes again. Through the wall, got a bit of boost, has that flick on, Stank, and again, great defense from Lincoln Land. Nutmeg doesn't keep it up, just a little bit early on that jump. Lincoln Land tied the series. What a game two.
Oh, what a way to end game two there. Very close calls. Lincoln Land, they're able to come out on top. North Central had a couple of looks. They did a, honestly, very solid job given the circumstances there. The challenge from two defenders sent over to the other side, and Krugs with the effort just to keep that ball alive, but the clears were just too much. We are all even in this series. It's what you love to see, too, because you know these teams can go for it. You know their power from their week one results, both sweep wins over their opponents, so they are going to fight tooth and nail, scrap through to get off to this 2-0 start. I'm loving what I'm seeing from both squads, though. It just screams resolve to me. They've got that ability to come back in the face of adversity.
And it was two games of two sides making mistakes, really. You look at the Loggers, more mistakes in game number one, they lose that one. NTC, more mistakes in game number two, they lose that one. And so really the objective for both of these sides is so clear. There's a lot of clarity. You've got to erase as many mistakes as possible and continue that strong communication. NTC, yes, they were closer to winning, or to at least tying game number two, to taking it to overtime, and they shouldn't be too worried at this particular stage. But now the Loggers have found some momentum themselves. It's that keyword once again. I love to bring it up, but really the Loggers have worked on that between games. They've adapted, another major talking point before this game, before this series. And going into game number three, really, this does feel like a bit of a crucial one. It feels like a bit of a stick on the camel's back situation. 5 more minutes on the clock. Who's going to take advantage?
100%. It feels like the series decider, even though we've still got more to play after, as, again, that word, momentum. I'm not sure really who has the decisive amount at this point in time, because North Central, I mean, they're certainly going for as many demos as they can with the speed they've got. You'd think it would be on their side, but this one a little awkward. Krugs trying to take a shot, blocked by Light. Follow up here is a softer touch as Nutmeg goes for control. Awkward play here, but a demo at the middle of the field may just help help North Central keep this play alive. Possession, though, wrestled out of the hands of Krugs. There will be Light over to the sidewall. Both of these teams really starting to go towards the avenue of setting each other up, but look at Krugs. It's yet another double demolition. We're still within the first minute. I believe Lincoln Land players have been demoed at least 5 times.
That was a real power play, and they didn't capitalize on it. You have a 2v1 scenario. You do not go for the shot, you go for the pass. It's unselfish. It's against your very nature as a Rocket League player, but it's something that you have to do nonetheless. They are not going to be punished for it. Lincoln Land will not take the lead on the rebuttal. It will indeed be NTC with first blood here. Simple ball off the backboard, double commit, both miss, and on target, Nutmeg.
And this is North Central opening up a very salty wound. I don't think they want it to close anytime soon. I don't expect them to get any less aggressive despite holding the lead. And for Lincoln Land, the response then becomes, how are they going to be able to scrap out these opportunities themselves? Because you look at that picked off there before you even get to the middle of the field. Now Nutmeg has sent it back to the back wall. 1-2, and the third is there. Touch not quite connecting, but Nutmeg's in a relevant enough spot to at least make contact and delay the pushback from Lincoln Land. You can see it just hits the top of the box with nobody there to finish things off. So Lincoln Land, now they're being forced really and well truly back against the wall. Light, though, wins a nice 50 out here cleanly towards the middle of the field, but no help to be seen. Nutmeg will carry back, and North Central Technical looking very strong here in the opening moments of Game 3.
Big clear downtown. Here's Krugs on the backboard through the corner, looking to try and suss out Light. Does so. Beautiful, and picks up the boost. Over 2. Really nice individual play here from Krugs. Can he go all the way? It's off the backboard. Light misses. There's a second follow-up, and it's unfortunately a stumble over 2 players. And the follow-up shot after that ends up going wide. Lincoln Land, they get away with it here as NTC Blue threaten again, moving forward. Here's Wonka, finds Light, shot on target, and oh, what a massive clutch save off the line. Krugs away, and NTC Blue survive.
Huge movement there to the bottom corner, digging for that one. Now a soft lob may just be it, but Nutmeg launches it the other way, looking for the solo effort to tap it home. Bottom corner is not their friend. And now demoed out, Wonka trying to clear some space, the avenue for Light to try and get it through. Back wall, but too heavy-handed there for the finisher in Smitty. And now over the top, caught looking. Nutmeg, powerful as always. North Central up by 2.
It's not Christmas yet, but I'm feeling some Nutmeg right now, drinking that opportunity up and spitting out a goal to take that 2-0 lead. Lincoln Land really struggling to get any purchase whatsoever, not just in the midfield, but in their own third as well. NTC Blue ruling the roost, and Lincoln Land, their opportunities are a premium. I don't think Nutmeg realize just how good that opportunities are. They keep on coming their way.
Absolutely. And again, here we have Stank going to the back wall. This space afforded to North Central in the middle of the field. Lincoln Land, again, they're being forced into these very awkward situations. They want to impose their will, but all of these touches are against it as Krugs not up in time for this save. Light gets away with a banger of a shot from the middle of the field. Side wall reads. Everybody so crucial here, and Light makes perfect use of it.
Lion's share of 2 minutes left. That's a good time to score. Now can you find another? Lincoln Land got back into game number 1, albeit didn't win it, and then carried that momentum forward. Are we going to see a similar story here through games 3 and 4? Well, here comes Nutmeg again, looking for that hat-trick, of course. Round the corner, a bit of a mistouch, Smitty with the block, but that's loose. There's Krugs looking for that double touch. Oh, and what a double touch it is! 3-1.
What a way to finish here. You had Nutmeg, who already beat 2 defenders but couldn't get around to the ball. Stank is trying to run Light into the net there and does so successfully, and Krugs doing Krugs things off the back wall there. Perfect finish off to the side. Light was in the general area, but again, Stank was just running amok in the goal there, trying to be that nuisance, be that blocker, aggressive there. And you see Nutmeg over the top again. North Central, they're not allowing any quarter here for Lincoln Land.
There was exactly 90 seconds left on the clock at kickoff. I fear this might get worse before it gets better for Lincoln Land, I should say, with the form that NTC finds themselves in. Krugs another interference run here. Continues to drive, actually, for Light here, who's unfortunately lost the ball, and that's a shot towards net, off the bar, follow-up, not going to arrive. Stank says first. Light again through the top of the box, looking for a rebuttal here, and they're not going to find it. Nutmeg in the way. Here's Nutmeg once again looking to drive forward. Not going to get underneath Smitty. Krug's in the way, though. They keep on finding body blockers.
Light now, over to the corner, 40 seconds, they need a push to go through, but Stank has blocked yet again, another miss from the second person in rotation, and now Wonka forced to make a save away, double as well, just to get it gone, but it does so, 30 seconds, and it's Light yet again, beats one this time, but cleanly taken away from the ball. Wonka now to Light in the corner, this one trickling through, Wonka has an opportunity and has somehow won the challenge. You're saying there's a chance here, Lincoln Land within one.
It's not about how you score them, it's just about if you score it anyway. That is one of the most scuffed goals that you will see all day, nay, all season. But it doesn't matter how it's gone in. Lincoln Land have got that second goal. They've got 20 seconds to try and find another. Lose the kickoff. Big time, and Krug's almost punishes them. There's Nutmeg, that's a bit of a weak shot, gives up possession massively. Stank caught out of position, and there's the chase on. Wonka doesn't find the third because that angle just a bit too tight. NTC get back in place, and once again the attack reinitialized for Lincoln Land. Nice touch from Stank off the backboard. Wonka straight back into the danger zone. Up goes Light, up goes Nutmeg, round the corner. Smitty trying to keep this alive. It stays up for now, but has the boost run out? It hits the floor, and NTC just about get away with it.
My goodness, a close ending to that one. Lincoln Land really has to check how much air has been pumped into that ball because it lost all of its momentum at that near post. Very difficult finish for that equalizer, but that was about the best look they had in those 20 seconds to get it gone. North Central Technical, great form for them in the beginning of this game, and it surely ensured them the victory because if they had not gotten out to that blazing start, you had to think that Lincoln Land would have been able to pull off some last-minute shenanigans a little more effectively. But what I really want to see from Lincoln Land here, very much so North Central in the beginning of that game, they were aggressive, they were forward on the play, and Lincoln Land was just waiting for any little bit of space to open up for them. I want to see them try and initiate these offensive plays in a similar way, because for North Central, it has been the likes of Nutmeg, the likes of Krug's going in with the ball seemingly uncontested, beating one defender and then getting a 50 with the second. That can get you so much space. So if they try and move that ball with a good amount of speed out of the defensive zone, there's a chance that they catch North Central on the back foot.
This series has been all about the early game. NTC have a great start, they win game one. Lincoln Land have a great start, they win game two. Guess what? NTC have a fantastic start, they win game three. And so it's all about who gets that opening goal, who looks like they're in the ascendancy early doors. Certainly that's Lincoln Land. Well, is the prophecy about to repeat itself yet again?
Certainly seems as though we're writing the script and flying by the seat of our pants. Light just launches this one far side. Unfortunate backflip on the defensive side of things, but Light has been the benefactor of a couple of unfortunate defensive missteps here from North Central Technical, so far be it from us to really come down on them hard for that. Lincoln Land out in front early. Krug sends another double, but Nutmeg has sent it wide for the finisher.
That would have been, individually, two amazing goals, and to come away with nothing, it must feel a little harsh if you're an NTC supporter. Nutmeg, closed down by Light. Here's Krug stepping in. Nice demo on the back line. Oh, but Stanks and Krug get in each other's way, and there it goes on the counter-attack. Wonka. Stank gets back in time to block that away, but another double commit potentially going to actually fall quite kindly to Wonka. Got 100 boost as well. Closed down. Smitty caught out of position, gets it over to the other wall, doesn't have much boost. A little bit of a waste of time there. Maybe better going for the 100 boost. Picks it up in the middle anyway.
We've still got a solid position here. Midfield line looks fairly solid for Lincoln Land. They've held onto it for the time being. Now Light sends another one on target. It's slow enough. Stank absolutely launches this one down the length, and Krug's trying to force a challenge. Now it's fallen to Nutmeg, looking for the pass. A selfless play, and it works out perfectly. Stank punches it home. Nobody home to really contest, and they get their goal.
Where's Mr. Muscle? Because this play was clean. And unfortunately, you can see there Light. Why was he a little bit off to the edge, you might say? Why was he past the goal mouth? Well, got caught on the lip. We've all been there. We've all had it happen to us. And unfortunately, it's a light. Wrong place, wrong time. You could say a fair scoreline, given that the Lincoln Land opening goal was down to a defensive error as well. The feels bad backflip. Either way, we've got 3 minutes 30, tie game, and Lincoln Land on the attack once more.
It's, again, the crucial point of these ranks and of these players is to capitalize on the mistakes. Send home those shots when you're given the opportunity to do so. Light has a lot of space to try and set this one up, but all of a sudden the defenders close the doors once it gets to the far side of the target. Now Krugs has gone all the way down the side wall, but to be blocked out. And now Stank with the follow-up, trying to send it, nearly sneaks through 2 defenders. Again, very grounded, got to get them up and raring, ready to go, but a big clear comes out here, and you can see Light sitting up top, just waiting patiently for this one. Smitty with no boost, no problem, beats one defender on the back wall, centered up, but the shot is contested well enough, and North Central doing their best to hold on to the goal line defense. Lincoln Land pushing through, both of these teams eager to get out in front, and they've got very many chances to do so.
That's a double aerial miss here. It's just left up to the last defender, gets enough on it. Wonka, nice. Slow it down. Don't give it away. Don't panic. The pure out clearance coming through from Light. Don't really need to worry about where it goes as long as it's away from the goal mouth, as long as you can find time to recharge those boost tanks. Wonka run out of boost, and that's going to be left to Stank to try and take it out of his own corner. What can you do from here now? You've got a defender there. 50 neutral. Oh, and what a fake from Nutmeg, but doesn't have much boost to work with here. Light bumps in out of the way, manages to get the player, not the ball, doesn't really matter, works out either way. Stank through the corner now. Nice early interception from Smitty, and again, Wonka clears the lines.
Good work there. 2 attackers pushed up very far, less than 2 minutes to play, and Nutmeg has already forced this one all the way back to where it came from. This one trickles out, but Smitty somehow gets off of the back line and in the way enough to piece that ball out to the side. Another sidewall touch again. This is that giveaway that you cannot afford to be making. Nutmeg has turned this around to beat 2 instantly, but a clear comes out from Wonka to convert it, and Lincoln Land see their way out of a very precarious position, trying to convert this one into an offensive chance. Again off the sidewall, but picked up by Nutmeg. Stank now trying to send it back and bring this one out of the hands of Lincoln Land, but we seem to be playing a little bit of ping pong here in the closing moments of Game 4. Both teams looking for that decisive factor, and it's Krugs!
No.
Complete robbery of the defender.
Oh my goodness. Light once again caught in that same area, and that's not the touch you want. That's the last first touch you want. And credit, NTC kept on going and going and going. The mistake was eventually going to arrive, and when it did, the shot was on target. They turned this game around. Now they're looking for the dagger into the heart. Krugs misses that double touch. Nutmeg does not follow up with a miss. He follows up with a successful shot on target, and all of a sudden, the Loggers are looking at bay.
And the one thing I really like from that sequence for the Loggers is Wonka playing on the backboard, trying to anticipate where Krug's shot is going, because Krug has proven himself to be an aerial wizard here in this series. But unfortunately, when it goes off the back wall, everybody's got their eyes turned the wrong way, and the punch home comes through for the 3rd goal. North Central Technical, they're displaying a lot of prowess in their finishing opportunities here on offense, and now as Stank goes back towards the back wall, yet again another threatening opportunity, but good play there by Smitty to close it out early. 45 to go. They need this one on target, and they need it there fast, but Nutmeg has closed the door for now.
MVP of the series, if this does indeed end now. But Smitty underneath, oh my word, what a save off the post! And Stank throws it up. Look, Nutmeg might very well be the MVP, but NTC, all 3 players, doing their due diligence on defense. Lovely bump there, but again, it's too wide. Lincoln Land can't do anything on the counter-attack. Nutmeg through the backboard, that's loose, and there's Stank to put the dagger in the heart. It's 4-1 NTC, and the series, no doubt.
What a finish. Nutmeg with the musty to set it up, and Stank just sends it in from that very tight angle, post to post. Go NTC. They close things up 4-1 with 16 to play. Lincoln Land, it's a shame they strung together a plethora of opportunities there in the final minute, but it was too little too late for them. Maybe even one more for the road. Stank will send yet another one through. NTC, an emphatic way to end this series.
One team had to pick up their first L in that particular column, and then sadly for the Loggers, it will be them. For NTC, the road of success is continuing to be paved in front of them. They have had a difficult series. I think that perhaps 3-1 doesn't quite do it justice. I think on any other day, this would have been a 5-goal game, as Light's going to pad his own stats. A couple of big, costly mistakes from him. Shouldn't feel too harsh on himself, I don't think, because all three of these Loggers players did play well themselves, but it was ultimately down to that accruing of mistakes on the side of Lincoln Land that has led to the ballooning of the scoreline that we have seen here. It's certainly what let them down in game number 2, I should say, as well. Oh, sorry, game number 3 and game number 1. In any case, NTC, they are the ones that come out with the win. Well deserved as well, especially at the beginning. We were looking at Loggers. We were looking at that early goal. We're thinking, surely. But no, they break the prophecy and go into week number 3 with a 2-0 win-loss ratio. There we go.
Yeah, and I love your point as well about things to take away from this series, because for Lincoln Land, you know, especially of players of these ranks, sure, it can come down to a baseline skill difference. If you have a player, especially I think of Krug's, Nutmeg as well, all 3 players on NTC were doing great jobs of offensive initiation, which can be a difference maker in these series. But for Lincoln Land on the other side, sometimes it truly comes down to how you're playing on the day of. I feel like on a different day, this series could go closer and potentially go the way of Lincoln Land. They dropped this one, but certainly this is a matchup where I think Lincoln Land would be hoping for a rematch to prove themselves yet again that they can take down NTC, because the opportunities were there. Unfortunately, the mistakes that costed them a bit too heavily when it mattered most, and that well and truly is what it all comes down to. So NTC, great job on capitalizing on those opportunities and creating them on your own. You've done a fantastic effort to play well on every aspect of the pitch. They are your series winners, and very well deserved.
Well, that's all from me, but it's certainly not all from Galgan, as we still have another 2 series coming up for you here in the NECC's Rocket League week number 2. You do not want to miss it. Be sure to get up, stretch your legs, get some water into your system, of course, but you do not want to miss the rest of this week's action. As you enjoy the rest of your Friday night, I shall bid you adieu. NECC, back after this.
Well, hello there, and welcome back, everybody, to the NECC Week 2 here of action and the de facto Emergence Showcase going into match 3 of 4 here on the stream. My name is Galgan, and I may have left Relic behind at the last bus stop, but I've brought the Paradox Muse with me by my side, and we are getting ready to cover this third match here. If you missed the first two, you missed some absolute bangers. It was New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology falling in a quick 3 to University of California, Santa Barbara, and then our second match was the Lincoln Land Loggers going down in 4 to North Central Technical College, and you can see the schedule over on my side over here, where we have our final match still waiting in the wings, NMSU White versus SWOSU Blue. But Paradox Muse, first of all, I have to ask you, how are you doing on this fine evening? And second of all, we've got NEC Red versus Assumption University Esports here for the third match. Are you ready for it?
Absolutely. No, I'm super excited to see this matchup of Massachusetts. Going into week 2 and everything, my own school coming from Massachusetts as well. So I got to see these guys battle it out, especially, like NEC's that like Eastern Mass versus Western Mass. So for those that don't really know anything about New England, like definitely a big battle out there with those two, Worcester being like a big city now out west. So Assumption's probably going to want to take this, especially missing that week 1 matchup. And NEC is probably going to be looking for a nice clean sweep after their barn burner of game 1.
You love to see that little rivalry. It builds context into the series here. And let's take a look very quickly here at the players we anticipate to take the pitch for these teams. First up, we've got NEC Red. It is Mr. Nick, Josh Ulrich, and Thugger. You can see 2 sophomores and a junior. Majors ranging in a pretty wide array there for this team. But again, we get to this conversation about how much leadership will this team be bringing in, courtesy of that junior, the older one. Obviously, their sub being a freshman, She-Love Horton. So it remains to be seen, obviously, in this best of 5, who is going to emerge as that star player. But we head on over to Assumption University Esports here and check out their players as well. Paradox Muse. Anybody stand out here? I mean, we've got some, honestly, a very interesting Spanish major for the first time.
I was going to say the Spanish major. That's awesome. No, and seeing the junior coming out as well, you're seeing a lot of those like high sciences and the math, like the finance majors as well. So I like that we're actually seeing a lot of juniors between these two matchups. So you got a bunch of these students that, they're sun's setting on their college career, so they're going to be hungry to get those wins and maybe a little more motivated to practice. So we'll have to see where they come out here.
And those majors, very smart players indeed, proving that Rocket League is not a game for the faint of brain. They've got to use all of that power to try and will themselves over the top. As we head in and get ready for this third match, Emergence Division, again, we're talking about players that are around that champ area, slightly breaking into the GC space. We saw in the previous 2 matches how important it was for teams to capitalize on mistakes made by their opponents. But thinking about these ranks and what these players typically bring, how important do you think this first opening sequence will be for players to establish themselves in this series?
Yeah, technically when we start seeing those ranks, especially right in that like champ division, right, you really want to come out with a fast and furious start. If you're not taking that early lead, you can lose it. It's hard to like gain back the momentum, especially in these types of series. So
and we are underway. We'll see who gets off to that fast start as things have somewhat settled here, but for Assumption, they can't help but continue this push to the back wall. They're still looking for more. Turn around, quick shot there. Mr. Nick forced to make Fantastic save, middle of the target. You like to see the defenders elevating here early, not getting stuck with their wheels down on the ground. And NEC, for the time being, doing a good job of keeping Assumption out of the net. Touch goes wide from Avery, and they'll be forced to look for more as Mr. Nick finally gets a clear out here, and still within the first minute, NEC Red's going to get their first look at the other side.
Yeah, I like to see where NEC was actually holding on to their boost quite well. It looked like they were really trying to waste it early, but afterwards, just getting those big defenses, especially with the nice demo over there on the backside. So now you're giving a little bit more push towards this NEC. I got to clear. Good. Awesome. So I was getting a little scared of an own goal there.
Always a risky play. It's so tough to make those decisions from a defensive standpoint, when to play slow and carry it across, but there's no real time to think about it now. Crossbar not the friend of Assumption, and the punch home isn't there from Avery either. So an opportunity goes by the wayside. Clearly one of Assumption's best looks here to get out to the early lead, but the time continues to tick against them, and NEC have been allowed to walk the ball all the way down to the other side of the field. Thugger now goes through to the back wall. No punch home, no big bump, and the challenge will see it away. We get back to a very neutral state here with about 3 minutes to go.
And Tyree's been, actually pulling it together a lot for Orange over here, especially because, he's been able to take these big carries just across the map, making sure that he's keeping that pressure on NEC. But you just see a couple of touches also keeping it towards this Orange side. They really got to hit it out of here if they want to make sure that they're going to keep this pressure up on NEC.
Control of the ball is always fickle here in these situations. Thugger will take the shot. Crossbar, 2 defenders tasked to take it away. They do so, but low resources on the side of Assumption. Surely this shot coming through Thugger will be the one, but in the way in time is the defense of Assumption. Again, holding on. We're seeing solid offensive pressure from both sides, but the counterattack certainly left lacking here a little bit, as Assumption can't quite get this ball on target as quickly as they want. We've still got clean sheets on both sides. It looks like both teams having a fairly typical game one here, right? Sort of feeling each other out, testing the waters, not wanting to dive in too quickly, else they catch a little bit of frostbite and really get scared off of looking for those opportunities.
Yeah, this just shows, again, the evenness of the divisions here in the NECC, where, you're going to have these two teams that are just super, super even. You're having a lot of these mid-range pushes where both teams are, trying to go up for the ball, and, you may see some of, the big communication as well for making sure that they're able to take these nice blocks, but man, this this is such a typical game where we're only got a minute 30 left on the clock and nobody's scored. So we might be in for a long night here.
Indeed. Only time will tell. Now sent over to the sidewall. Wanted that touch to be a bit more forward, but Redhead Dude will come through and try and expedite the process. Unable to do so just yet. Off the sidewall goes Tyree, but a concession of possession and sent back and forth down this sidewall. Wrestling, jockeying for position here. Redhead Dude gets it to the back wall. No double is there. Sent off the back yet again. 1, 2, 3. Avery looking to send on target, but it's wide of that near post. We're closing in on the final 60. These opportunities not presenting themselves just yet. We do see a demolition to open up some space for Assumption as they look for the clear. Big challenge as well. And now we start to see these players getting a bit more aggressive. Nice center, but no shooter. You want the finish to be there, but both teams lacking in the clinicality.
Yeah, Assumption's been a lot more aggressive in this later half of this game, where at first, again, NEC looked like they were going to be the favorites coming in just because of the pressure they were having on the goal, but now we're really starting to see Assumption pick it up. They're speeding up the ball as well. They're having a lot better touches just in the neutral midfield as well. So, they're doing a really, really nice job. We'll kind of have to just see where where it's going to go. 20 seconds, in no score. It's we're going to be here a while.
We shall see. Final moments here of regulation. Assumption seem to have the look at the last opportunity. Tyree sends to the corner. That'll bounce out nice to the top, but Josh Ulrich picks it up in time. Time winding down now. Side wall. It's there for Thugger. Tries to send one last opportunity through, and Mr. Nick keeps it alive. Soft pop, but a nice little triple there to ensure the OT. I feel like the most ironic finish to this is that we end within the first 10 seconds, but given that this ball has ended up in the corner, it's not looking terribly likely, although Assumption have a pretty solid start to this OT.
It sounded like you were just about to cast a curse over there, you know? Where you're just going to call that before it ends up happening. But yeah, no, you got a nice couple of touches here. Tyree coming up, trying to hit it on the back wall, trying to set it back up to neutral for his teammate, Avery. A really nice shot there from Avery, but not able to finish. Just NEC able to kind of capitalize here on the defense and just trying to keep the game going as long as they can.
Oh, that's a big clear. And it's taken away from the goal line. I mentioned the lack of clinicality from the offensive finishing strikers, but it's also credit where credit is due to the defenders on the goal line. They're getting into the right spots at the right time, taking the opportunities away. Mr. Nick now trying to send to this one, but everybody's playing in front of that near post for Assumption, and they're not going to be punished for it just yet. They're forced to rotate back, get this one away again. Tyree now looking for the redirect pass out, and it does find its way to the corner. Assumption trying to establish some pressure here, but they're being forced to work for it. Now in the middle of the field, big challenge goes over the top there from Redhead, and Thugger will get the clear out. Every single push in seems to have a response for the time being. Mr. Nick trying to open up some space, surely gets it over one, and beautiful move there from Tyree to get it going the opposite way, but now two have been beat in the near corner. Thugger goes for the shot, and what a save! It's left there for Mr. Nick, and Tyree comes back out of the net again. We stay going.
Tyree's been a big help here for Assumption on this side. You know, double save right there. He's also done a really good job just managing his boost. Every time that we always pan over to him, he's got like 60 to 80 boost as well. So he's ready to take any of those defenses that he needs, any like offensive stances that he needs to do. So really, really impressed with him so far. Off the wall here, though, from Mr. Nick going up. Not much.
Yeah, Josh is going to have to come through. That's a nice centering pass, but again, Assumption have the response. 2 minutes and counting now. Mr. Nick, awkward position there, but does get away and actually beats two, so this could be the way through, but Redhead gets a clean challenge. It's off the sidewall, though, so it does favor the attackers, and tough touch there in the shadow position as Mr. Nick challenges for this ball, but every single time these teams seem to have a look on target. They've got all the pieces in place. They just can't snap them into position. They miss that final crucial solution that they're looking for. Is Mr. Nick now on the side wall looking for more, gets challenged. This is a strong push from Assumption in the corner. They're over the top of Josh, who's playing too far forward. Top of the box now, but big challenge. NEC keep themselves alive, and my goodness, are we going the distance in just the first game of this series?
Yeah, that's a big demo, though, coming out from NEC. Are they able to actually capitalize on this now? Redhead trying to come up, but gets bumped back. Just not able to really get this going. Thugger trying to bounce it off the back wall, set it back to neutral and center. Oh, do we have a shot? You got to hit those. If he hits that there, we might have ended up saying, oh, big score! Tyree puts it away. Tyree puts it away for Assumption there with the big one goal. Almost bringing it up to 4 minutes in overtime, though. And with that score, Assumption's going to win game one.
And you know what happens there? It's the mistake. It is absolutely the mistake that is capitalized on. As much as Thugger does not want to think about it, that's what ends up deciding that game. And that's what ends up deciding a lot of sequences in games across any medium at this rank, is the mistakes that are made defensively. We've seen it earlier tonight. Slow play defensively gets punished by teams that are aggressive enough to take those opportunities. Now, Thugger was not in a advantageous position to make a play on that ball. Very much had to try and divert it away from the target as much as possible. Did not end up doing so. It was the top of the box. Nobody else was back for defense, and it was a quick and easy finish there for Assumption to take game one. But nothing else about this game was easy for either team. They had to work for it. There were very few punishable mistakes coming out from either side, because the mistakes that were made had enough space surrounding them for the teams to collect themselves after making the mistake. So that's the thing, right, that we're looking for going into this next series, is trying to force those mistakes out of the teams in space where they cannot make a mistake. It's crucial that they don't.
Yeah, and Redhead and Tyree were playing really far up as a nice duo. I liked seeing that out from Assumption. They were really aggressing on the ball and keeping a lot of pressure on NEC. A lot of the times they were put into these like 2v1 situations, and you thought they were going to be able to score and get that aggression, but unfortunately they weren't able to finish it up until the very end. But it looks like we're going to get into game number 2 here, as Tyree already kind of taking control of the ball. Nick just trying to come up and actually challenge and push it towards the Assumption goal, but yeah, NEC looking like they're already kind of coming to play as they're keeping it up on Assumption's side of the field here.
Ooh, shot opportunity as well. Saved away, and Assumption survived the early scare. Now sent to the back wall. Redhead to the crossbar. Finisher there. Avery can't quite find the touch. Yet again, golden opportunity gone. And now Mr. Nick favors the boost over the ball a little bit, so it will be more of a clean challenge for Redhead. But Josh sends it back to the opposite side where it came from. And Mr. Nick with a boost steal now. Assumption's got to be feeling it resource-wise, but the ball is cleared down to the other side of the pitch, so it won't mean that much. And it's interesting to see as this game 2 begins to develop. Oftentimes when we see a 1-0 finish in overtime to start the series, we can see a complete contrast in game 2 where the scoring floodgates are immediately opened. Doesn't seem to be the case here in the first minute. Teams happy to resume that back and forth exchanging of possession here in the midfield, the ping pong, if you will.
Yeah, both teams had that really nice early aggression where you did have Tyreed who kind of went up, tried to do his own challenge to back, like bounce it off the back wall, but unfortunately wasn't able to finish it off. And even right there, you know, setting it up really nicely, but not able to finish and get that goal, that that golden goal that we needed in that last game.
Yeah, these players definitely looking for a bit more striking capability. They may have just found it, but a save off the own post there is going to see it away for the time being. Touch out of the corner from Josh is not going to come through, but Mr. Nick will attempt to center this one. Thugger is already up, but Redhead has stayed calm, cool, and collected to get this one cleared out at least to the midfield line. NEC Red, though, trying to resume this pressure. You can see rotating through now. Thugger looking to be the initiator of this New England College side, and nearly a little bit of a lockup there in the corner, but a bit of a welcome distraction as Mr. Nick sends the shot to the crossbar. Plenty of time here for Josh to follow up to the back wall. Mr. Nick's already up 1-2-1. It's set on target, and Redhead, dude, denies it.
Yeah, Redhead with the huge save there on the side of Assumption. Now, NEC just trying to reset, but are they going to be able to hit it back down? Tyreed hitting it up really high, trying to set it off the back wall and hit it over to his teammate, but Avery coming in now, trying to just keep the pressure on NEC, trying to hit it back out to center, get one of his two teammates up, but Thugger able to capitalize. Josh Ulrich goes for the shot and misses just up in the upper left-hand corner. Mr. Nick trying to hit it back, and now just Assumption trying to clear it and get it back to the other side. Is this going to be it? Oh,
there it is. Yeah. This is going to be a real tough replay to watch back. Beautiful challenge from Avery, but it's the byproduct of how these teams are playing. First goal falls here for Assumption. You trying to get their second game of the series, but I want to talk about the fact that this lack of finishing touches here to score the goals, I feel like it largely results from these players playing for the rebound rather than the pass. It seems like there are a lot of solo initiations here. Now we finally see a passing play come out. I mean, speak and so it shall be, I assume. But Josh can't quite tap this one home either, as Josh and Mr. Nick, again, connecting on a couple of good looks here, trying to get things going, but they have yet to find the back of the net.
And unfortunately with Mr. Nick in that last goal too, you can just see he ran right out of boost right around midfield, so the ball was able to go right in, and that's because he ended up making his own aggressive play trying to get that shot, and then he wasn't able to fall back in the rest of his team. So a little bit of a miscommunication there from NEC, but you got to shake those goals off. You got to keep going. You got to look to get your next one because you're already down 1-0 in this series. A bit of a touch there, just coming out, just head-to-head, and again, the pressure coming on the side of Assumption. Thugger to able to hit it out and up, but Avery now going to try and take it back. A nice solo pass play, but Josh just able to hit it back off, and Mr. Nick right there to keep the pressure down on Assumption.
Fortunate one there for NEC, but they've got 60 seconds left, and they've got to keep looking for each other purposefully here, not just be forced into making those touches that just happen to be passes by pure circumstance. Little double by the defenders to potentially slow things down on the clear from Assumption, but they're gifted a freebie by Mr. Nick, and now Josh forced to play out of his own corner here. Back pass attempt doesn't come through. Mr. Nick now has an opportunity 2-on-2, maybe low on resources, but the early challenge is good enough to save it away to the corner. 30 seconds now, and NEC are in the right spot. Josh to the crossbar, can't get it under all the defense. Thugger now comes through, and they're trying to pin Assumption to the back of the zone here. Will it be successful? 20 seconds, Avery gets it clear, and the hopes are diminishing here for NEC to get back in.
And Assumption's just been playing some fantastic defense, just really understanding where the attackers on NEC's side has their boost, making sure that, you know, they're paying attention to those resources as they get used, and just making sure, you know, they're able to kind of clutch this one out. And it looks like Assumption is going to take game number 2.
Yeah, 1-0 is good enough for Assumption here. Not in overtime this time, and a bit more concerning if you're on the side of New England College, because you have 2 clean sheets built up against you now, have not been able to find that efficiency. And I well and truly think it comes down to finding each other first and foremost. We can talk at length about how Thugger is a good initiator, how Mr. Nick and Josh are able to find each other on the passing play. But the fact of the matter is, Assumption have been forcing these touches upon NEC that they don't want to take. Whether or not they're able to scramble to get it to work out for a pass to clear the zone, that is almost trivial at this point, because they need to be effective with where they place that pass. Merely, you know, having the ball fall from a challenge to a teammate to get them to clear it down the length, Assumption's going to be able to pick that up and get a clear going back the other way. You're not going to get any offensive pressure off of that. So now for NEC, tasked with a reverse sweep, they've got to find each other, find that faith within each other to send these opportunities home, because they are presenting themselves and they just barely can't finish them off like this first one here.
Yeah, and that's the second time that we've seen a game where NEC has just started incredibly strong, just coming right out of the gate, able to set something up, able to kind of do these solo plays, but, you know, Assumption just ready with the defense, just ready to challenge all of these touches. Now a nice little setup, but Thugger not able to qualify, and oh, he's not able to get back! Tyreed! Nice score, nice up and over, able to get it up to Thugger and just shoot it right downfield and score a quick one for Assumption.
This is starting to become a pretty dangerous habit for New England College. That's the second in a row. First, we saw Avery with a big challenge at the top of Assumption's own box, and this time it's Tyreed. Assumption finding success with those long clears that immediately find their target, which just speaks to the fact that NEC need to be ready on transition defense, because we haven't seen too many counterattacks come out from either side, but I think that's giving NEC Red a false sense of security. They're not really ready to defend it. Nice flick here from Redhead to try and get things started. But again, you can see Assumption, they are so confident right now. They're holding positions in the offensive zone. Over the top, though, to the far side, Mr. Nick finally gets NEC on the board.
Oh, I like that finisher, too. That was really sick. No, yeah, NEC's coming out with their first goal of the entire series, so maybe bringing back some of the little confidence that they need to come back in this series, maybe start the reverse sweep. You know, and all it takes is just one.
Indeed, especially in a series that in scoreline has been as close as it has, and I don't necessarily think it's been too distant in play style, but NEC Red is certainly looking for that clinicality, and they have another opportunity here. Josh may have not been the shot he was going for, but it wasn't the shot the defender was ready for, and that's good enough for the goal. NEC out in front.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen them lead all series, so, you know, we got to start somewhere, but plenty of time left on the clock for Assumption to come back. Again, Assumption had that game plan. They got up 1-0 really fast in this game. Then all they needed to really do was play defense. But unfortunately, their defense has started to fall apart. Maybe NEC is finding some cracks in there and just able to kind of capitalize on some of the misplays from Assumption. So now they got to go back on the aggression, see what they can do, and see if they can take this game back.
We all know the potential for when it rains, it pours. That all too common idea where NEC finds the solution and they hammer it home time and time again, get consistent with it, and force Assumption to really readjust their play style here. You can see they're taking a bit more of a defensive stance as well. Still getting the clears out, but it's a quick change of hands for possession as Josh at least gets a look at a challenge here. Mr. Nick plays slow, and that's not going to cut it. It is held off. Midfield now, Thugger up and barely gets enough of that ball to see it through to the corner. So as time continues to tick, NEC doing a really solid job of playing proactively here. Mr. Nick is going off the back wall, and a save, a deep dig there. Josh off the back as well. Bumps galore. Thugger comes through for the punch, but the challenge is there. Ball is held at midfield. We're halfway through. Assumption with an opportunity to tie things up, but the shot doesn't have any juice.
Yeah, if only he was able to angle that just a little bit further down, get that nice little spike, he could have taken that nice clean shot. down on the side in favor of Assumption, but unfortunately, Thugger able to play there. He's actually been doing a really good job on defense for NEC this entire matchup. That's something that we haven't really talked about with him. He's gotten some really nice clears. He's won a lot of 50s as well, just in the midfield, just trying to set that back up and making sure that his team isn't felt too much of the pressure, especially in this later game here. Avery now trying to start something for his team. Tyreed going up, flying. Oh, not able to finish, but almost had it in that nice pocket corner with the big solo play.
Close opportunity. Ends up bumping the teammate on the way back, so that might slow things down for Assumption, but they're very gratuitously being given a lot of time here to deal with it, and now Avery has gotten a free ball for some reason at the middle of the field, so NEC not too keen to punch that one into their offensive side too quickly, as now Redhead gets beat over the top after the initial touch, but I'll open up space here for Avery to come through, looking for an opportunity of his own, but gets challenged very early here, and NEC trying to play as proactive as they can, but still pinned towards the back recesses of their zone. Now over towards Avery yet again. Assumption now window closing to try and find the equalizer. They've got the security of the 2-game lead on their side, but certainly don't really want to drop this one because it's a sign of a bit of a struggle. They haven't found the same sort of offensive efficiency as they had earlier on in this series.
And Tyreed just able to get the nice clear there and getting the nice little demo off the wall, but not able to capitalize off of this as Mr. Nick tries to dribble. Thugger goes up for the shot, but unable to finish. So now Tyreed going to give Assumption the chance to clear back. He makes the solo play to get it almost into the goal of NEC. Off the backboard on the top, but not able to get a teammate there to finish. Mr. Nick now dribbling it down, just trying to set it up for his teammate Josh Ulrich. Able to drop it in, but Assumption there, ready to clear.
Great flick, great opportunity, great dunk over the top to the far post, but not good enough. 20 seconds, and this is a better chance than ever for Assumption, but it's blocked out by Mr. Nick, so they have to start all over again to the sidewall. Josh beats one, launched by Redhead, blocked by Thugger. They are doing everything here, NEC, to secure game number 3. Bumps galore as Thugger just tries to run amok, and a punch down by Mr. Nick. NEC, they make a little mini comeback here in game number 3. They get our first multi-goal affair here in the series on their side. 2-1, a close game regardless, but NEC, they show a reasonable amount of fight back here, and they've taken one of the 3 necessary steps for the reverse sweep.
Yeah, and a nice bit of resistance on NEC. I mean, Mr. Nick really stepping it up in this game, getting a nice goal off the top. You can see, again, those 2 aggressors like Nick and Ulrich there, just making sure that they're trying to keep as much pressure on the Assumption side. Thugger also, like I said, playing really great defense for most of this game, just getting a lot of nice clears, helping set up his teammates so that they can just kind of capitalize on that goals. Again, it's a nice low-scoring series, so it just shows that both of these teams are really evenly matched, and, we're not going to get the clean sweep. So more Rocket League. I love it. We're here for it. So, we'll get back into this game, and we're going to see, can NEC complete the reverse sweep?
It is certainly still a tall task ahead of them. No clean sweep, as you said, which is always lovely to see, sure, but it goes without saying for these teams. I mean, we've seen a couple of miraculous saves in this series, no doubt. The defenses are pulling out all the stops, but I think it's all the more impressive what they're doing ahead of the goal to stop the shots from coming in before they even register as threatening ones, to be able to block the ball out from the middle of the field. We also see in these ranks players' tendencies to go to the corners very frequently as their avenue to set things up, whether they try to go for an infield pass from the sidewall or they drive it all the way along the back. It's such a crucial juncture for both of these squads to try and win out on control of the corners, and the corner boost by proxy is so important, but Avery has controlled the top corner of the net. Early goal, and Assumption get a lead.
Yeah, I didn't think that was actually going to go in on that one, but a nice little pocket corner. Look at this, right in that top right corner, and a little bit of bounce off the wall to just kind of secure it and make the pop go, early. So Assumption able to take the 1-0 lead nice and early. And Avery, I think that is his first goal of the series, if I'm not mistaken. So really good, just kind of coming out and making sure, hey, able to contribute on his team.
Love to see everyone on the score sheet, regardless of how it gets done. Mr. Nick trying to make that happen here for NEC. Thugger with the punch, but no, denied by the far post. Nearly a double doink, but doesn't quite connect with that opposite side. Mr. Nick gets another opportunity, but can't quite get around. Had enough boost in the tank, and it's Josh Ulrich this time to attempt the punch home, but nobody really ending up on target until Thugger changes all of that, forcing the save. The save turns to a redirect. The redirect is in the back of the net, and just like that, we're all square.
Yeah, Thugger just absolutely keeping the pressure on this entire game. Mr. Nick also just making sure that the ball stayed on the Assumption side of the court so that Thugger could go back, get some boost. He actually went to the opposite side, got the boost in the corner, and then came back to make sure that he could secure that for his team. So nice communication coming out on the side of NEC, making sure that, you know, they're going to keep this even and they're going to keep it competitive.
Oh, the adjustments on offense, you love to see it. That double as well from the corner wall can be so lethal, but it's blocked out, and you know, proactive Mr. Nick is playing. Challenge as well in the middle of the field. Over the top here now goes Avery looking for more. Strong challenge, one out by the supporting teammate. But can't really get out of the corner, and that'll stifle things for the time being. It's now over the top. Tyree looking for the center. It's there. Josh forced to play this one down, and now NEC look to be scrambling just a little bit. Mr. Nick gets a bit of control. Challenges this one down to the mid. Closing in on 3 minutes left here in game 4. Josh has a look, but not enough pace to beat out the defender there. Assumption keep it out of the net for the time being. We stay all square. Big clear, big save. Mr. Nick is there to deliver.
Yeah, and again, just a little bit more on the boot. Tyree, very nice coming in from the left-hand side just to put that ball away. Really good setup, too, on the side of Assumption, just trying to keep it in the center there. He just gets the nice little bump, making sure that his teammate's able to come in, take the cut, and now we're up 2-1 in favor of Assumption. So really nicely done. Thugger, though, just running out of boost at the Ulrich running out of boost at the very last second and not able to finish it off on that last goal. So, you know, hopefully that's not going to be the end-all, be-all, and you know, NEC is going to be able to come back in this game.
Yeah, it's tough looks, definitely, because Mr. Nick had a nice initial save, but then Josh Ulrich kind of bought into it into the corner, trying to look for the bounce. Didn't quite connect with it, and that was all she wrote. Now Avery looking for this one off the back wall. Very tight angle to try and send that one home on. Big challenge, though, will be sent very close, and a scary defensive tap there. Honestly, the mere threat of a shooter for that goal just kind of scared off the defense into a vulnerable position there, but Assumption see their way out and for now have kept it clear. Big move here from Mr. Nick, though, and you can see NEC Red, they're getting hungry for this. They're really pushing for it. They've got opportunities going now. Again, it looks very individualistic. Let's play for the rebound and hope that it falls into our hands rather than looking for the passes. You have to think that they could be a bit more efficient on their shooting opportunities if they just have that bit more forward thinking.
And a lot of really nice setups on both sides, and Assumption was putting themselves into a lot of scary situations, just dropping the ball in front of their own goal. But fortunately, you know, NEC wasn't able to capitalize on that. But, you know, Assumption just setting up some really nice goals here as well. And again, you gotta make sure that you're communicating to your teammates, able to get them up and, you know exactly where you want to put that ball. Tyree, though, going up in the air, actually catching it out. Avery now looking for the clear to bring it back onto the side of NEC. Avery now going to look for a setup, able to get that boost, but not able to do anything for his team. A little bit of a teammate bump, so now maybe going to have a little bit of difficulty getting back here, but Mr. Nick just got to bounce it back and set it back to neutral, and, you know, we're just going back and forth.
Yeah, Assumption now with a 1-goal lead. They're doing a really solid job of just denying NEC prolonged offensive paces here. Mr. Nick trying to set up. It's a challenge. Josh can't connect with the ball. And Thugger over the top. That's 2 gone. Mr. Nick just has to delay what could be the inevitable. This one hits the top of the box, and you have to know that that's going to get finished up. Again, unfortunate situation there, but those sort of touches will concede possession 99 times out of 100 in these ranks, and that's exactly what happens as Avery picks it up, takes it home to the bottom corner, and gets Assumption up by 2.
Yeah, and you could see the thought process on Mr. Nick. He almost outplayed 2 of them as well to get the big score for NEC. He used up a lot of his resources, and then unfortunately his teammates weren't able to get back in time, and you know they weren't able to take on the defense of Tyree and Redhead. So Assumption's just going to go up with 30 seconds left on the clock, up by 2 goals. It's not looking good for NEC.
30 seconds now. Opportunity. They've got to take this shot quickly. Goes to the backboard instead, and that's going to leave Thugger to try and punch home against a brick wall of defenders. Unable to do so, but Assumption have left this ball deep, and they're all bunched up in the corner. Somebody's got to punch through that, but again, NEC left searching for a decisive playmaker here on the offensive side. They've allowed this one to be shot on, and now they will look to transition off the sidewall. Mr. Nick goes out of the corner, but it may be too little too late. Demoed through, and they've got 1 second to pull off some kickoff shenanigans. You love to see them finish this opportunity, but they may have left it until it was too late.
Yeah, it was kind of a nice demo. I like the idea there, but we got to wait for this kickoff shenanigans. I'm ready. Let's see it.
Let's see it. Here we go. Kickoff goes, and there it is. Avery knew exactly what to do. Grounded that one the whole way through. And Assumption University Esports, they were 0-0 coming into this as their Week 1 matchup was rescheduled, but they will not only advance to 1-0 and keep themselves, undefeated at this point, they hand NEC Red their first loss of the season. A heartbreaking one here, but on the other side, such a well-deserved victory for Assumption.
Yeah, that's one of the closest games I think I've ever seen casted, at least on my end. So really, really nice job to both of these teams, just keeping it competitive throughout. NEC able to win that game number 3 with their, 2 goals over there too. So, just not getting discouraged, just keeping up in this game, just making sure that they could keep it competitive against Assumption. And again, Assumption, they came in, as you said, 0-0. They're an unknown. We don't know what they're able to do yet within this season. They still have a game against Holy Cross that's going to be coming up as well. Battle of Worcester. So another big Massachusetts school coming in. So we'll have to see where they show up there. But after seeing them in this game, they got to be feeling confident for their next game.
It is Assumption that comes out on top here, but will it be the same if these teams match up again? Only time will tell. And if you thought you had enough of the emergent action, you ain't seen nothing yet. Our 4th and final match coming up on the other side of this break. New Mexico State University taking on Southwestern Oklahoma State University in the Heartland Division. We will see you there. Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. You saw us there, but I'll never see you. That's kind of how this thing works. Welcome back to NECC Week 2 action here. It is the end of the Emergence Showcase that we have on this channel. My name is Galgan. You know me well enough by now, but joining me for this fourth and final match on the side is not the Paradox Muse this time around, but it is Dividing. And Dividing,
Hello.
I want to ask you how you're doing, and I have a feeling how you're going to lean on this feeler question here, but we've got NMSU versus SWOSU or SWOSU for this fourth matchup. You see the schedule on the side, but just give me your reasoning as to who wins this matchup purely based on name.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the logo on NMSU. That guy looks like he means business. So I think that I think that with a mascot like that backing them, MMSU is going to be quite the team to go against. But I really love saying SWOSU. It's very satisfying to me. So I think I'm going to go with Southwestern Oklahoma State University. And from this, now, this was just to prove to the audience that I know what that means. But I will be calling it SWOSU from now on because it's way easier.
Fair enough, and we'll get to that matchup in just a moment, but looking briefly at the schedule that's on my side here, the first matchup that was a bit earlier than all of these, NMT Red versus UCSB, Santa Barbara taking down New Mexico in 3 games. That was the only sweep we saw. We had NTC Blue going up against the Lincoln Land Loggers, and Lincoln fell in 4 games in that series, and then NEC Red could not get it done against Assumption. The battle for Massachusetts there, I believe, one of the states up there, fell the way of Assumption by way of 3-1. So we have not seen a full 5-game affair, but maybe this fourth and final series could be the one to do it here, Dividing. And we're going to take a brief look at the rosters. Again, it's New Mexico State University versus Southwestern Oklahoma State University. And here are those NMSU players. Anything stand out here for you in particular?
Well, I think what stands out to me is that this is an entire team of freshmen right now. Really, everyone's first year, not only as a Rocket League squad, but also as a collegiate student in general. So, Kuruma, Cold Ramen, Squishy, they have a little bit of gelling to do as a team before they really come into their own, and that is seen through their first match, which was a 1-3 loss versus Baker University last week. So this new squad really still searching for their first dub.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? We've got 3 freshmen and the senior is on the bench of all things, but maybe it'll pay off for them. On the other side, however, Southwestern Oklahoma State University, a mouthful there. SWOSU is pretty fun to say, but we have Bako TV or Bako TV, Chublord, and Booga 010. 2 seniors and a sophomore. Interesting majors as well. Pharmacy major as well, which is pretty cool to see. But this is one of those 6-person rosters. There's 3 on the bench. They had a bye in week 1, so they come into this matchup 0-0, looking for a strong start here in the Heartland division of the Emergence area. So we'll have to see what they're able to pull off. But again, that dynamic of like freshman versus senior here, you want to point to the seniors as leadership, but if there's any game where the young talent reigns supreme, Rocket League is certainly in that conversation, you would think.
Oh yeah, the amount of crazy players in the Pro League that are under 18 makes me feel incredibly old. I feel like an esports boomer and I'm only 22. It's actually insane the kinds of things that these kids do in Rocket League and in other games as well for that matter. What does make me a little concerned for the side of NMSU as the freshman sort of greenhorn squad is, of course, that lack of collegiate experience that they have coming into this. If it was a team that had a couple more years under the belt, maybe sophomores, I would feel a little bit better because I would know that that team had a full year's worth of play to help get some more synergy under their belts, understand how they all work together. What I'm kind of hoping is that Electric MC, the team senior, who is, like you mentioned, on the bench today, has been offering that kind of veteran leadership to help these newbies really come into their own.
Absolutely. It is very entertaining to see what these freshmen are able to pull off in these series. And as they get that experience that you were talking about, that playing experience, making sure that they are able to go up against competition all across the country here and then some. But we're waiting on some intel from this series and just making sure that we can get all the players ready and raring to go. So we are going to cut to a short break while we figure these things out. We will see you on the other side with an update on this fourth and final series. Hello, everybody. Quick break there. We hashed things out pretty quickly. Got a solid team working behind the scenes, but unfortunately, it's not in a super amazing way. We talked about the experience that these players want to get, and unfortunately, it's not to be this time around. NMSU will be forfeiting this match and moving on, so that will give Southwestern Oklahoma State University their first win in their first series. It is a forfeit, so dividing, moving on into the rest of the season, maybe something to look past. They're not really too concerned with it, but it's still nice to have that 1-0 in their pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that on the leaderboards as you move forward into the season is surely good. When you're looking at the Emergence Division go, you really just want to see some good Rocket League. You really want to gel as a team and learn to get better as individuals. So for the side of Swosu, who had a bye in week 1 and now week 2 ends up having a forfeit, it does kind of suck that they are going to end up going 2 games in the season without playing a proper game. But nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. Hopefully everything's okay with NMSU and they can bounce back next week.
Absolutely, and while the action may have wrapped up here because that was the final match scheduled on NECC 2, guess what? There's more Rocket League to be seen on NECC_esports, so make sure you type that into your Twitch search bar right here and right now because we don't want to see you missing out on that high-octane action. Looks like 2 more matches scheduled for the evening as well, surely to be entertaining fixtures to watch. For us, though, Dividing and Galgan and everybody else working behind the scenes, that is it for this stream. Thank you so very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.